Imagine walking through a frozen valley in Norway, November 1970. The snow so deep your boots sink with every step. Two hikers stop because they see something dark against the white. A body, partially burned, lying face down between rocks. No purse, no ID, no answers. But inside her coat pocket, a half-burned passport, and she had set it on fire herself. This is the story of the Isdal Woman, Europe's most haunting cold case, and more than 50 years later we still don't know who she was. She was found in Isdalen, which means Ice Valley, near the city of Bergen on Norway's southwestern coast. The official ruling was suicide, but almost every detail screams something far more sinister. Let me take you through the evidence step by step, because once you hear all of it, you will never believe this was a simple suicide. On November 29, 1970, Professor Gerhard Folkvord and his daughter were hiking in the rugged, desolate terrain. They noticed a strange smell, like burnt plastic and chemicals. Following the scent, they found the woman's body tucked between two rocks in a shallow depression. She was lying on her back, but her face and neck had been burned. Her hands were also damaged, which later proved to be deliberate. Next to her body, police found 50 to 70 phenobarbital sleeping pills, a powerful barbiturate, two empty 1.5-liter wine bottles, a half-burned passport, and a lunchbox with remnants of a meal. Police initially assumed a simple suicide, but then they opened her luggage, two suitcases found at a nearby train station locker, and everything changed. Inside those suitcases, investigators discovered 8 fake passports with different names, a wig and several hairpieces, expensive and elegant clothing with all labels carefully removed, cosmetics from France, Italy, Norway, and Germany, a diary written in an unbreakable code, 100 Norwegian kroner hidden inside a lipstick tube, a small bottle of sleeping pills of a different brand, and most chilling of all, her fingerprints had been chemically erased. You cannot do that to yourself. The acid treatment on her fingertips was done while she was still alive. That requires intense pain and medical knowledge. A suicide victim does not do that. Police then retraced her final weeks. She had stayed at several hotels in Bergen and Stavanger under different names. Witnesses described her as between 30 and 40 years old, with dark hair and olive complexion, possibly Mediterranean or Middle Eastern. She spoke multiple languages, German, French, English, and some Dutch. She was always dressed elegantly, like a businesswoman or a diplomat, but she never smiled, never ate with others, and avoided eye contact. One hotel maid remembered that the woman burned papers in her room's fireplace every night. When the maid asked why, she laughed nervously and said, "Just old letters." Another guest recalled her using a shortwave radio, the kind spies used to receive coded messages from their handlers. On November 23, 1970, she checked into Hotel Horteheimen in Bergen. That night, she asked the receptionist for the address of the local German consulate, but no one ever saw her go there. Then on November 26th, she took a train to the remote Isdal Valley. The ticket seller said she looked scared, constantly looking over her shoulder, as if someone was following her. Now let's talk about the autopsy, because this is where the case becomes truly disturbing. The autopsy revealed that the cause of death was a combination of barbiturates and carbon monoxide poisoning. But here is the problem. Where did the carbon monoxide come from? No car, no generator, no source of exhaust was found anywhere near the body. Her neck had bruising consistent with strangulation, but not enough to kill her. The burns on her face and hands were post-mortem, meaning someone set her on fire after she was already dead, or she did it herself. But setting your own dead face on fire is impossible. Several of her teeth had been removed professionally, likely to prevent dental identification. Her stomach contained a meal of sausages, fish, and vegetables. A normal dinner, not the last meal of someone planning suicide. Then came the most disturbing forensic detail. Her fingerprints were not just erased post-mortem. The skin on her fingertips had been treated with acid while she was still alive. That would have been excruciatingly painful, and it requires access to industrial chemicals or medical supplies. The diary, a small black notebook containing 24 pages of handwritten codes, has never been deciphered. Norwegian intelligence, NATO, the FBI, and even modern AI decryption attempts have all failed. The codes look like a mix of numbers, letters, and symbols that do not match any known cipher. Some researchers think it could be a one-time pad cipher, which is mathematically unbreakable without the key. Others believe it is a personal shorthand known only to the writer. And some think it might simply be gibberish meant to mislead investigators. In 2018, a new attempt using artificial intelligence and advanced cryptanalysis made a tiny breakthrough. One phrase was tentatively deciphered. It read, quote, "We have followed her," end quote. That is as far as anyone got. The diary remains a locked door. Over the decades, three main theories have emerged. Theory 1, the spy. The Cold War was at its peak in 1970. Norway is a NATO member and shares a border with the Soviet Union. The Isdal Woman's multiple passports, erased fingerprints, shortwave radio, and coded diary are classic espionage tradecraft. Some say she was a KGB agent who was discovered and poisoned by her own handlers to prevent capture. Others say she was a Mossad operative tracking Nazi war criminals, and Norway had many hidden ex-Nazis after World War II. The burned passport and face could have been an attempt to hide her identity after a botched mission. Theory 2, the assassin. A private killer for hire. The complete erasure of her identity, the multiple aliases, the careful avoidance of cameras and witnesses, she was a ghost. Some witnesses claimed she had a scar on her abdomen, possibly from a cesarean section. But that does not fit the assassin profile very well. Theory 3, the tragic fugitive. A woman running from an abusive past, a criminal organization, or a dangerous cult. She destroyed her identity to disappear completely. In this theory, the suicide could be real, a final escape. But then why the coded diary? Why the acid on her fingers? In 2016, a Norwegian journalist named Martin Odegaard found a critical lead. He discovered that one of her suitcases had a label from a French luggage shop that only sold to military personnel. That tilted the scale back toward espionage. In 2017, Norwegian police reopened the case. They exhumed her body from the anonymous grave in Bergen, a simple grave marked only by a stone that reads, "Unknown Woman." They hoped for DNA samples, isotope analysis, and modern facial reconstruction. Unfortunately, the DNA was too degraded by time and the elements to be useful. However, isotope analysis of her teeth suggested that she spent her childhood in Central Europe, possibly Germany, Poland, or the Czech Republic. A new facial reconstruction was released in 2018. The image shows a hauntingly ordinary woman with dark hair and sharp features, someone who could be anyone's neighbor. But despite worldwide media coverage, no one came forward. No family member, no friend, no colleague ever claimed her. Police closed the case again in 2019. She remains the only person in Norway to be buried as unknown with a full state-funded funeral, because no relative ever came forward to take her body. So we return to that original question: who burns their own passport before they die? Was it a spy destroying evidence of her true identity? A killer erasing a past that never existed? Or a broken woman who wanted the world to never find her? The Isdal Woman took her secrets to the grave, literally. But her case is not closed in our minds. Every few years, someone finds a new clue, a new photograph, a new witness who steps forward after decades of silence. In 2021, a retired Norwegian police officer claimed that he had seen a classified file suggesting that she was a Czech intelligence asset, but the file has never been released. In 2022, a German historian found a woman with a similar description who disappeared from Frankfurt in 1969, but DNA testing was inconclusive. Maybe one day we will know her name. Maybe one day someone will recognize that facial reconstruction and make a phone call. Until then, she remains the Ice Valley's ghost, a woman with no name, no past, and no peace. If you have a theory about who she was and why she died, drop it in the comments. And if you are new here, subscribe for more dark global cases, stories that the world forgot, but we will not let them die. I will see you in the next one.